MMOs let us do many things to live out our ideal idea of a fantasy adventure, from being part of a guild to partaking in our own adventures, slaying dragons and spending days, weeks and years grinding out a shiny weapon that richer people can just up and buy from the cash store. That last one seems a little truer to life than I want in my fantasy game. Ugh. MMOs even let us do things that we can realistically go outside and do, and even get paid for, like MMO professions. Hey there, I'm Dying Legacy, and today, let's commit character assassination by talking about you. Yes, you. If you've ever cried yourself to sleep at night, never getting a wink of sleep because the only thought in your mind is that you can never afford the good potions for raiding, you're probably an alchemist, and MMO's representation of tomorrow could be better, because you're the type of person that if ever affected by a problem, you'll just find peace of mind contributing to the problem, which in turn leads to these players never raiding due to testing their own product, and staring at the sun contemplating why they can hear the colour orange. It's the only way to explain the prices of potions these days. The sun though, an invaluable resource, and hazardous if you stare too long at it, which doesn't deter jewel crafters as they lustily fantasize about a new gem or ring, with the attention span of a hummingbird being ripped through the engine of a Boeing 747. These players only notice the shiny things. Meticulous grinders, big spenders, and only make power moves. This Rolex I'm wearing? A jewel crafter sold me this. I say sold, I mean they beat me unconscious, stole my clothes and possessions, and locked me in a pub toilet. Then they proceeded to try and sell me my belongings back to me for an extortionate amount of money. Jewel crafters have only one mindset: bleed the economy dry. When it comes to adventuring, there's only one economy, and it's bloodshed. And that's blacksmith territory. The humble blacksmith used to flirt seductively with the gods of RNG, and the gods said, "Oh, sweet Jesus, no." So they now craft their own gear and weapons, selling the surplus in hopes of getting better materials. Anyone who's ever been outside and has ran into MMO players, you'll notice very quickly how none of them ever mention that their main profession is blacksmithing. And there's a very simple reason for this. Blacksmiths don't stop to go outside and smell the roses, not when in-game currency can be made. Plus, outside's where the people are. And blacksmiths don't want to risk any possible situation where they may need to socialise with another human being, avoiding the possible risk of humanity figuring out that they don't speak good. Their gear is usually not as good as raid loot, but they'll get you to endgame. Unfortunately for blacksmiths, the time it takes to cultivate their blood money takes up all their raiding time, and there's an irony in helping players raid and being left out of the equation. When it comes down to it though, there's only one true royalty when it comes to economic gain: furniture crafters. And I know what you're thinking, but dying, it's easy to capitalise on the fortune of comfort and art. Wrong. Furniture crafters are the art. Sure, they haven't seen their loved ones in months, and their real home is just a squalor, and they routinely use the corner of the room as a toilet to save time on the amount of grinding they need to do, to gather materials and blueprints for whatever housing project they have. They may be unsocial, but what artist isn't? Yes, the prices are hardcore and you need to be an oil baron to afford the prices, but at least they buy as much as they sell, unlike us fishermen. Yes, it is my main profession, no matter what MMO I play. Yes, we're unsocial and mostly sell every scrap we get and don't contribute to the economy overall. We tend to spend most of our days staring out at the ocean, yearning for freedom on the open sea. In between every cast, we'll gaze optimistically through our windows at the beauty of the world, then shut our blinds and promise never to venture outside in fear a passerby will ask us how our day is. Or sweet merciful Christ, make eye contact and talk about the weather. Because that's where babies come from, and we're not ready for that much responsibility yet. A responsibility only our cooks and culinary-orientated players can understand. You live, breathe, and smell of fine dining, cultivating your ones and zeros into stat-boosting delicacies to help out your party and friends, while avoiding the gaping sorrow in your heart knowing the last time you cooked anything for real, your poor, frail grandmother had to spend a year in the hospital to recover from the horrid plate of self-deprecation you had the balls to call food. But hey, you do it in-game now, at least there's safety precaution there to protect the rest of us from you walking salmonella vendors. Cooks do tend to be more temperamental than other professions. You would be too if you spent years leveling and grinding the skill only to constantly be asked if you have that recipe that nobody can get anymore. Sure, cooks take the easy way out, choosing their profession because it's always in such high demand, but in their defense, they chose the profession while staring wantingly at a lasagna. Plus, a frying pan can be used as a weapon in a zombie apocalypse situation, so they are just covering their bases. The archaeologists, on the other hand, refute the possibility of a zombie apocalypse, as it's not written in the lore, scathing at the idea of anything outside story content and lore drops to be meaningless. leering down to you and what they believe is the most lore-appropriate class from their chosen game, quizzing you on each race's backstory, and they're right. How dare you play a race whose pain and suffering isn't engraved upon your soul? Fun! Who needs fun when there's lore? Enchanters need fun, to parallel the unfair activity of roaming around like a hobo looking for magical stones, only to painstakingly concoct enchantments for players only interested in the glows over the stat gains. These unsung heroes of fashion usually frequent the local taverns, consuming as much alcohol as physically possible to dull the pain of their ever-growing sorrow, with hopes that one day enchanting will appear in a number 1 slot on a profession tier list. At least they get to see their tier list though. Pastime woodworkers and carpenters don't get to indulge in. They are the backbone of society. They made the desk I sat down at to type the script to this video, and in MMOs it's no different. Hold on, I thought I was having a stroke. Okay, it's passed. In MMOs it's very different. They love trees. They really like trees, spending their playtime sawing timber and asking passers-by if they are interested in holding their finely crafted wood. The mere idea of holding the shaft of an arrow or wielding a powerful bow that only their hands have touched, created skillfully and precisely for their grip alone, gives these professions a sense of power over their dominion, and are happy to spend hours toiling away just so the grip feels just right, oblivious to the outside world and only interested in the feeling of skin against mahogany. To some, a blade's only as good as its hilt, but to woodworkers, it's all about that shaft. Plus, lots of wood. They're also banned from the local DIY store. Leatherworkers are the flesh and blood siblings of these woodworkers, but rather than the foreplay of crafting, leatherworkers prefer to be more involved and more inside their craft, chasing down the environment's largest and most valuable prey, cladding the squishier MMO classes in the fanciest of leather armour, spending their time away from hunting to oil up their catch in the hopes a soon-to-be consumer can be seen to be tightly enveloped in their handiwork. If it weren't for MMOs to keep these players in check, they would probably be serial killers. Thank you, MMOs, for protecting society. If only the same hope could be given to engineers, building guns, rockets and all manner of things that go boom. Society was never safe to begin with. MMOs for these players are just another playground of tears and suffering. Every now and again they make fashionable goggles, so they do get back to society every now and again. Just never leave them unattended with a baby. Thanks for watching, guys. Why not leave a comment below and tell me what you think, so I can take it all to heart and cry myself to sleep tonight. And while you're down there, why not like and subscribe? It's free, just like my scathing lazy sarcasm. You can also catch me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/dyinglegacy, where I also give out all of this scathing sarcasm for free. Thanks again for watching, guys. Take care and be awesome.